This is a clarification video regarding the very recent post about the changes to 482, 494 and 186 TRT. I made an error in my statement, therefore I have edited it and I have posted it again. So make sure you watch that video once again. Now, I have seen a lot of people getting confused about the time they can accumulate on the 482 or on the bridging visa. So I would like to clarify it for once and all. I want you to understand what used to be the case and what has changed, what's new, which has made this change on these three subclasses so interesting. Previously, if you held a subclass 482 visa and you didn't like your employment, and if you wanted to change your employment, if you found a new employer to sponsor you for the same position, and if you wanted to change it, you had to change it within 180 days. However, now the change is that if you have put in a new nomination within the 180 days, then you can start working with this new employer. You do not have to wait for the nomination approval. You can straight away start with your new employer. And the time you are waiting on your nomination approval can be counted towards the 186 TRT. So you can add the time while you wait from one nomination to another nomination while you're on a 482 visa. You can add that time period to make it to the 2 years for 186 TRT. And also with this new change, for 186 TRT, from 482, you needed 2 years of work on your 482. And sometimes people are short by a couple of weeks, couple of months. They need to put in a new 482. Previously, when you have put in a new 482, the time spent on your bridging visa while you obtain the new 482 was not being counted to the 186 TRT 2 years. But now it will be counted. So from my previous video, I've seen a lot of people getting confused on one thing, and I'd like to clear that. What I noticed is that from the video, people misunderstood and thought that the time period from the date they lodged their 482 visa until they got the 482 visa granted, the time period on the bridging visa could be counted for their 2 years to make it to the 186 TRT, which is not correct. You cannot use your bridging visa while you wait for your very first 482 grant. However, if you are already on a 482 or a 457 visa, and if you have applied for another 482 visa, then obviously that bridging visa's time period can be counted for 186 TRT. But if it's your very first 482 visa, and no matter if it took even 1 year, on the bridging visa, unfortunately, you cannot count that period of time to make it to the 2 years for 186 TRT. Think of it, the employer has spent so much money for you to be sponsored on 482, and it's kind of disadvantaged for the employer as well if you become eligible for 186 TRT too soon, even though if it's Department of Immigration's delay. To avoid all these confusion or running short of a couple of weeks, a couple of months to be eligible for 186 TRT, especially if you're lodging the visa from offshore, because once the visa gets granted, it's very hard for people to come straight away. So you lose that couple of months on your 482. Therefore, I always suggest, if you can, apply for 3 years of 482 visa. I know the SAF levy, extra SAF levy has to be paid for that 1 year, but it saves you from a lot of hassle, especially if you have to lodge a second 482 visa just for a couple of months. That's going to cost you a lot compared to one extra SAF levy. Look, all these changes from the Department of Immigration is for the better and to help the visa applicant, definitely to help the visa applicant, which clearly shows that the Department of Immigration is really vested in the visa applicant's interest. And that's because they are aware that there has been some malpractice or misuse of this visa program by some employers by taking advantage of the vulnerability of the visa applicants. Therefore, immigration is doing all that they can to protect the visa applicants' rights so that they can easily switch between employers if they are not happy with their current employer on 482 visa.